Whether you shoot photos or videos, no matter how amazing your camera and lenses are, your image isn't gonna look good without good lighting. So today I want to talk to you guys about my new favorite budget video light. This is the COLBOR CL220R. It's compact, it's a bright video light, and wait, haven't I already talked about this before? That was the CL60R. I basically showed off just how much of a beast that tiny RGB light is and showed different ways to light a scene with it. You should check that out after this video, but this is the bigger brother. That's right, it is a high-powered, bright RGB video light, and it kind of takes my current crown for best budget video light recommendation. There's really not another video light on the market that does what it does at the price that it does. For me to choose a video light, it's gotta hit a few criteria, and maybe these are the same for you. 1. How much light does it output? Will it be enough for what I'm shooting? 2. Does it have extra features that I'll actually use, things like RGB, FX modes, or mounting options? 3. How good is the control interface? Can I control it wirelessly? And 4. What are my options for powering it? Can I power it with batteries when I'm shooting in locations without easy access to an outlet? To start off, let's look at the first criteria. How much light does it output? The CL220R has a max output of 7100 lux at a meter without any modifiers attached and will output about 30,000 lux at a meter with the included reflector. If you just wanted raw light output, the CL220 bicolor version is actually going to be brighter in this scenario, outputting 52,000 lux at a meter with the included reflector. But nonetheless, this light is plenty of output for most indoor scenes like lighting up an interview setup and even for my corporate headshot work. More importantly, this light has high color accuracy, which is critical for making sure your colors look right in your videos. So aside from lighting up outdoor daylight scenes, this light has plenty of light output to do basically just about everything I need for indoor setups, like interviews, my client work, and my YouTube videos. When it comes to the second criteria of versatility, this light really does it all. It has a ton of features when it comes to RGB, effects, and all of that, and until another company comes along that can either do it better or for cheaper, this is going to be the big reason why it's such a good recommendation. Thanks to that RGB WW chip it has, you can set the CL220R to output literally millions of different color choices spanning the entire color wheel just using the hue, saturation, and intensity options. You can even use the app's color picker functionality to color match an object on set in real time, adding to the versatility of the light. And of course, like just about every other fully featured light on the market, it comes with 13 built-in lighting effects that, while you're not going to be using super often, comes in really handy when you're looking for that specific effect for a creative shot. And speaking of the app, that brings me to criteria number 3. How do you control this light? On the back of the light fixture, you have a pretty intuitive set of buttons. You can boot up the light with the power switch, and from there you'll navigate most of the options using the 2 control knobs on the back. On the right side, the mode button will toggle the light between bicolor and RGB mode. In bicolor mode, you can change the brightness of the light, the color temperature, and green magenta shift to dial in the color of your light to match any other lights you might own or the practicals on set. In RGB mode, you can set the hue, saturation, and intensity to dial in any specific color you need for your scene. On the left side, you can access the effects modes by pressing the effects button. Pressing this button will also cycle through the 13 effects modes, where you can specify the brightness and color. You can also use the rate button to change the speed of the effect as well. Finally, you have the settings button, which will let you configure how you want your light to work, including whether or not you want to link the light to a Bluetooth controller or COLBOR's mobile app, change the fan level options, the brightness curve, adjustment dial responsiveness, and initial startup brightness. You can also control the light using their mobile app, COLBOR Studio. This app gives you all of the controls that the physical body gives you, and for once, I'm actually liking the mobile app for one of my products. And like I said earlier, you can use the color picker option to pick a color for the light using your phone's camera. But the app does something even more important for me. I have COLBOR lights set up in my office to make YouTube videos all the time. Some of them are set up high, some of them are set far away from where I'm sitting, and it makes it a lot easier when I don't have to get up and go to each individual light and hit all the buttons to turn everything on and turn everything off and make individual adjustments. I can just do it from the app and just turn them all on and make adjustments as needed. This is even more important when you're on location for a client shoot and you have these lights set up high and you don't want to bring it all the way down to be able to control the settings and then have to put it back up. That wastes a lot of time, and it's a lot easier to just hop into the app and just be like, all right, let me drop the intensity by 20%. Now, let's look at the build quality and talk about the power options. First of all, the design is pretty fantastic. I love the compact squared off body because it makes packing it into a gear bag a lot easier. It's small and it weighs about 3.5 pounds, making it a great studio light and easy to lug around onto location. It uses a standard Bowens mount so you can get whatever light modifiers you want, whether it's COLBOR branded or a cheap one on Amazon. For me, I basically stick with the lantern mount when I'm trying to fill a room with light, or something like the Aperture Light Dome Mini when I'm trying to light a subject. It also features 2 inverted NATO rails, one on each side of the light. COLBOR has been developing a bunch of NATO-based accessories to do things like mount multiple lights to each other or other accessories onto the light itself. The multiple light situation is actually really cool since you can now attach several of these together for an incredibly bright light source that's RGB capable. Now, that brings me to the power options. COLBOR includes an AC adapter to power this light off of an outlet, but they also sell an XLR to D-tap cable which lets you power this light with something like a V-mount battery. Combine that with one of their NATO rail accessories to attach a V-mount battery to the light itself, and now you have a super compact lighting setup that doesn't need an outlet to work. Another question that's important to answer about lights like these is going to be, how's the fan noise? In the settings, you can choose between smart, quiet, and performance mode. Performance mode basically sets the fan to full blast to keep the light as cooled as possible. This is great for when you're shooting non-audio critical shots, and it would sound something like this. Quiet mode does the opposite. It caps the light output to 50%, but limits the fan sound to about 30 decibels of noise, and this is what that sounds like. And lastly, the smart mode is basically the default mode where it's going to go ahead and regulate the fan speed based on how hot the light is. So it's going to ramp up as you use the light for longer and higher outputs, and it'll ramp down as the unit itself cools down. I personally use the light in the quiet mode most of the times when I'm shooting YouTube videos or interview shots because I need that audio to be quiet, and I've never had the audio pick up the fan noise when it's in this mode. Real quick, I want to share a fun accessory with you guys. This is the COLBOR CPL80 projection lens. It attaches to a light using a standard Bowens mount, and it basically focuses the light. On the sides, you can slide in one of these Gobo inserts, and with it you can create unique shapes on subjects and backgrounds. If you've noticed, I've been using this to add some dimension to my shots over the past month or so, and I just had to share it with you guys. I just love this thing. Okay, so let's talk about some prices. The COLBOR CL220R comes in at $399. It's not the cheapest light available, but it's one of the cheapest RGB lights on the market. The closest competitor would be the slightly less bright, but also pretty well featured Amaran 150C, which costs $359. If I'm gonna be honest though, I think the most compelling RGB light on the market is actually an offering from Nanlite, the Forza 60C. It has the best RGB tech utilizing a red, green, blue, lime, amber, and cyan chip, but it's only a 60-watt light compared to the CL220R's 220 watts. And it costs $699, making it the most premium choice, but significantly more expensive and less powerful. Overall, I think that every content creator, videographer, and filmmaker needs a powerful and versatile COB light. COB lights are so useful because based on what modifiers you use, you can turn it into really any kind of light. Whether you want this soft diffused dome light, or you want a lantern light to fill a room, or you want to bounce it off of a white reflector, or create a book light. There are so many lighting options you can achieve using a COB light. And when you have 220 watts of output and RGB capability giving you so many more creative possibilities, it makes the COLBOR CL220R kind of my default recommendation just based on how affordable and versatile it is. If you're interested in checking out the CL220R, links will be in the description down below. Alright, that's it for this one. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like and subscribe button, and let me know in the comment section down below on what you guys think of the CL220R. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.